said. That's amazing. I said all of that with no sound. Not even worried about it. Maybe I just had to get it out. All right, y'all. So let's do our I was talking about Kyrie Lacey. It's amazing that that didn't come across. Maybe it didn't need to. Um let's do our I guess our Buffs trivia. I put together some questions, everybody. So I want to go ahead and put back the image of, I guess it's the one where I added the ranking for the last two games, which was 7 and 8. Um, so I'll put that back and then we'll start our trivia. I already have our questions in here. So hopefully the right one comes up. So I have too many pictures. Maybe this is it. Let's see. All right, there it is. That's where I actually did one, uh, 1 through 4, and we ranked all the way through the 8 games. Hi, everybody. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Good evening. All right, so let's jump right into our trivia, and maybe at the end, I might do a separate video about the Kyrie Lacey situation. But I have our questions pre-programmed in here, so let's get going. Let's get going. All right, so the first question I had from the 2023 season. All right, y'all see we did the rankings 1, 2, 3, 4 in green were the best games of 2023, and 1 through, I think it was like 8, 1 through 8 were the worst rankings. We talked about how CSU made one of the worst rankings, even though we won the game. But USC, we lost the game and it made one of the best games. So keep that in mind. All right. So these questions might be a little thought provoking. I may throw some hints. If y'all need a hint, just drop it in the comment. Let me know if y'all need a hint. All right. So here is the first question. Okay. First question pops up on the screen. Let me know if y'all can see it. It says, what did one college football coach say personally about Coach Prime? I feel like that's a gimme. So y'all let me know on that one. Let me know on that one. Question was, what did one college football coach say personally about Coach Prime? Let me know if y'all need a hint. Let's see if somebody answered it. All right. You still can't hear me? Oh, that's crazy. Okay. I don't know. Let's see. What's going on with my audio? Can you not hear me? Can y'all not hear me still? I don't know. Oh, let's see. I'm not sure. It says it's set to the right microphone. Let me make sure. Oh, okay. So you can hear me. Okay. Was he raised right? Yep, that's what it was, Jerry. Coach Prime, Coach, what was his name? Norvell. Coach Norvell, no relation to Florida State's head coach Norvell, made the comment that his mama raised him right because when he interviews or talks to people, he takes his glasses or his hat off. And Coach Prime was like, oh, it just got personal. So that's one of the reasons some people blame Coach Prime for CU's contentiousness, but CSU's contentiousness. But I don't blame Coach Prime for that. I don't think Coach Prime basically saying this is personal now. They made it personal. Is the reason Travis was hurt. The reason Travis was hurt is because there was a late hit and the refs did not even bother to call it and acknowledge it. So yes, that's what it was. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for letting me know. He insinuated that Coach Prime was not raised right. That is absolutely correct. And that is why one of the reasons that CSU was the absolute worst game. No, not the absolute worst game. One of the worst games. I think we had it at number 4. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. So that's one. Okay, let's see. Okay, now this is a good one. I'm going to ask this question. Okay, let me know if y'all can see it. In 2023, Colorado University, CU, lost two beloved defensive players to the transfer portal. Who were they? Let me know. Let me know. Let me know. I'll give y'all a few seconds to figure that one out. Put on some music while y'all, maybe while y'all try to get it. Let me put on some chill music. This is some AI generated music. I can't tell you what it is. Y'all know I'm trying some AI music. So that's like the little timer so y'all can think. Okay, the question. Let me repeat the question. In 2023, CU lost two beloved defensive players to the transfer portal. Who were they? Don't go looking. So let me know. All right, so that's the music, the countdown for y'all to get that one right. Let me know. Let me know if anybody can figure it out, or at least just come up with one person, and maybe I help you come up with the second one. Thank y'all for having 13 people in here, even though I had my sound off throughout my entire intro. Sorry about that. Everything happened for a reason, though. 13 people in here. Please let there be 13 likes. And if you can't stay long, don't forget to hit the like button. And on your way out, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Anybody guess yet? All right. Any thought? Let's see who guessed. Somebody might have guessed. The 5-star cornerback. Yes, that's one person. Okay, let me turn the music down. Hold on. Okay, so one person that we lost. One person that we lost was Cormani McClain, the 5-star cornerback out of Florida. I think he was from Florida. Well, he's back at Florida. I heard his spring ball game info footage is out there. Y'all go check it out. Show Cormani some love. It seems like, he's getting older again, which y'all could hear me say is, people 18 to 25 are prone to end up in more situations where they lose sometimes their life and sometimes their opportunities. And that's kind of what I was talking about. So that's right. Now the other person. Oh, yep, that's the other person. Is that the other person? Thomas. Yep, Bishop Thomas. Good job. Good job, 22, and good job, Jerry. All right. Hey, was Trevor one? Did we lose him in 23? No, we didn't lose him in 23. We lost Trevor Woods in 2024. This was 2023. So not the right year, Caroline. And so yeah, it was Bishop Thomas I think he was from New Orleans. Bishop Thomas and Cormani McClain. Yep, that's it. So y'all got it. Okay, good. I thought that one might be a little bit more difficulty. Let's see. All right, so we did that one. Okay, so all right, this is a fun one. Some of y'all might notice. It depends on how much you are in tune with CU. Like if a couple times a week, you might notice. Now this is from 2023. Okay, so I'm gonna put the question up there. Let's see. Hold on 1 second. Okay, in 2023, CU buff Xavier Weaver had a nickname. Now this nickname came after he appeared on Well Off Media. I don't know what was going on at the time, but it's like this nickname came from Osaken. And this was about Xavier Weaver, and people kept calling him this until he left for the NFL. So let me know if anybody knows what Xavier Weaver's nickname was during the 2023 season until he left for the NFL. Anybody? So I'll play the music and I'm gonna let y'all think on it. It was hilarious. I don't even think if you Google this, I don't even think you could find it. All right, time's up. Let's see. Did anybody get it? Okay, nobody got it. All right, so I'm gonna give you a hint, and then I'm gonna tell you we're gonna talk about something. Okay, so the hint is his name is Xavier, right? And they were calling him Zay, but there was like an adjective in front of the word Zay. And I think this came from Deion Sanders Jr. And it was very popular that people were calling him this, and then they started calling other people this, but it stuck with him. And I don't know why. Maybe because it just kind of, the onomatopoeia, that whole thing. All right. So while y'all think on that, let's talk about something I posted on IG. So I posted recently a video of Shedeur Sanders at an overtime OT7 7-on-7 game. And in the comments, and people seem to like the comment that said, "Oh, I'm so happy to see 7-on-7 football get the love and attention that it deserves because other people are starting to come around. The NFL is following it. And Shedeur showed up. But what made it special wasn't the fact that he showed up. It was a game in Dallas. He's clearly in Dallas. So, he didn't have to go. But it is the overtime production, and he will be April 14th on Draft House. When he got there, I don't know if y'all realize it in my videos. I probably had to cut it out. You might have saw a DJ. I had to mute it because they were playing music. Well, at this particular game, it seems there's always DJs at 7-on-7 games. When Shedeur got there and they knew he was, out there, they played the song Perfect Timing. And it was just so cute because he was kind of laughing a little bit. And I said to myself, wait till they start playing it at NFL stadiums. Yep. So we might get treated to Perfect Timing, during the game. I think when you watch the game, I'm like, when you watch the game, do they play music? I know at basketball games, they play music. I think football games play music too. Maybe not in the arena, but maybe when you're watching it on TV. So let's see if Perfect Timing makes it to an NFL arena near you. But shout out to Shedeur for showing love to 7-on-7. I'm just happy to see, them get the love because it's really good. I think it's good for the youth to have something, playing football at school during the season. Oh, that's cool, right? It's at school and it's still a different vibe. But when you're on a 7-on-7 team and you're on TV, that's huge, and that's not something that you necessarily have to do. When you go to school, you want to play sports, you want to play football, but then, 7-on-7 is totally different. Then you get to shine, and then you get to see how you stack up against other people, that are just not part of the school district or, some type of non-conference game or something like that. So I like the 7-on-7. They got snazzy uniforms. It's a different level of play, so you're learning a different system. So when you go to college, you'll be ready. It helps with recruiting, and it's getting a lot of love and exposure. I'm waiting to see a league form, maybe I see the NFL kind of adopting UFL a little bit, showing their game, showing them some love. I'm like, okay, I see you, NFL. You notice that people are paying attention to UFL. Now I want to see the same type of love be shown to 7-on-7. I was thinking to myself, since Cam Ward and RG3, they have teams. I'm like, Shedeur should get him a team. Now I know RG3 and Cam are retired, but he could have a team. He doesn't have to be there. He could just have a sponsor a team. I don't know what they call it, but to get something like that, or Bucky should get something like that. I think it would be good to have the Sanders legacy to move in that direction. So we shall see. But I just wanted to say I posted that on IG. So if y'all haven't seen my IG, check it out at 404. At What She Said Sports, same name as the YouTube. All right. So I'm checking to see if anybody guessed Xavier Weaver's nickname. I guess not. So I guess I'm going to have to tell you. Zesty Zay. Who remembers that? So they were calling him Zesty Zay, I would think, third of the way, all the way to the end of the season. And, I don't know what, I can't remember what precipitated that, but I do know it stuck. And then they tried to call like Zesty O or Marion. But for whatever reason, it didn't stick with Omarion. But it did stick with Xavier Weaver. And he did leave us and go to the to the Arizona Cardinals. Jerry said no defensive or offensive line play. I guess not. 7-on-7? No, it's not. It's not. I don't think it is. No, and there's nobody to snap the ball. So yeah, it's not a center. Now I did notice a change as it seems to be evolving. I told y'all when I went to the game, they had like a pedestal, and you snap the ball from that. Well, recently, I think at the game, Travis was with his little brother. They snapped the ball with they had a person. A center, not really a center, but kind of like out there. And when he snapped the ball, he just kind of stood down and they threw it. So, it's a faster paced game and they only have 7 people. So it's kind of cool. But I just like it. And I think a league should form, something on like a grand scale. I think kids would love it. Destroying, his content revolves around 7-on-7. And he actively plays for the UFL. As a fact, he's kicked 2 good field goals. I've seen the content on social media, and he hosts 7-on-7 tournaments. So I just think it's something that one of the Sanders, Bucky, or maybe Shedeur and Shiloh together could have like a team called Prime Time or Shedeur. Coach Prime, even something that Coach Prime could start. He wouldn't have to be there, but it could be called Prime Time OT7 or something like that. So I just think it would be good to carry on the Sanders legacy that way. It says, yeah, Bucky comes up with inspiring names like BBL Travis. Right. Right. Who said that? That is hilarious. Yes, Caroline. Bucky is hilarious. I think he is the reason they were calling Xavier Weaver Zesty Zay. And it's like people tried to put it on other people, but it didn't stick. It stuck with him though. So, yep, Caroline, you are absolutely correct. All right, so let's see. Let's see what else we have. Another one in here. Okay, I feel like y'all should know this one. But I'm gonna tack a bonus question onto it. Okay. In what game in 2023 did Shedeur Sanders break the passing record for Colorado? For CU. Forget what's after CU. I guess I couldn't see that part. Let's see if I can clean it up. Let me know. In what game in 2023 did Shedeur Sanders break the passing record for CU? In other words, he set a record or broke a record. I think he set a record at CU. And it was in 2023. Anybody know? Okay, so let me know. Let's see. Hopefully, I know somebody probably got this. Okay, let's see. In what game in 2023 did Shedeur Sanders break the passing record for CU? Gracie said TCU. Correct. Bonus question. How many yards did Shedeur throw for to set the record? Does anybody know? That's one of the bonus questions. How many yards did he throw for in the TCU game to set the record for CU? So he's leaving, some records behind at Colorado. That's awesome. I'll give you a hint. It's 500 and what? That's where his nickname. I think Bucky gave Shedeur the nickname Mr. 500 because I was actually calling him that. So yeah, I'll give y'all some time on the clock. Let's see. Oh, maybe somebody got it. 500. Yes, keep going. TCU 500. It is 500, but 500 and what? 500 and what? Okay, so 22 said 524. No, it's close, but that's over. Come down a little bit. So it's between 500 and it's not 524. So it's somewhere in the middle. Quick Google search might help you. Okay, I just tell y'all. It's 510. So Shedeur Sanders set the record at CU for passing yards of 510 in the TCU game. Yep, that's correct. So the young man has left a record at CU with his name on it, and it'll live on until somebody breaks it. Here's the question: Do y'all see maybe Juju or Caden breaking that record? It's possible. It's possible. Caden and Juju both have deep ball accuracy, so they both like to sling those balls. So I think it's possible. One thing I heard about Caden this week that I really like, and I believe it to be true. When I told y'all I studied Caden, I said there's one play that he seems to love. We know he's a dual threat quarterback, not necessarily pass first or run first. Whatever he could do, he's going to do at the time. Whatever the moment calls for, that's what he's going to do. I said he loves the run fake. Like if he's going to pass the ball over to the running back, but instead he keeps it and he runs with it. They said, I heard somebody say, if he see an opening, he going to run for it. I'm telling you, we have some exciting games ahead with Caden Salter for sure. We have some really exciting games coming up. So I'm pretty sure we'll be back here to talk about his run ability. And when I tell you, it's like when you see him running, if you look at any of his footage, he'll run and slide as if it's ice on the ground. And he just put his hands out and it's like he's playing backyard ball. He's really having fun while he's playing football and he wants to win. And it doesn't, it's not like he has to stop and think, is this where I run? It's like his instincts are like right there with it. So, we have a lot to look forward to, if he's going to be QB1. I don't know. I know next week coming up, I think the 19th is the spring game. How long after the spring game do y'all think before Coach Prime announced a starter? I did see a question where somebody asked, man, it's going to be hard to choose who starts. And most people are like, nah, I think it's going to be Caden, this, that, and the other. And somebody said, well, what about if they both are in rotation? Remember, we talked about that? And Kiel said, no, that's too disruptive. He's going to name one person. I'm like, okay. So I was wondering if it was possible that we see Juju get a little action in. Obviously we saw Ryan Staub a little bit, and that was when the score was really high, or Shedeur, was out. And I know we'll probably get to see, Juju in that case too. But I wonder if it is an opportunity, like, to switch things up, and then they play Juju like on, I don't know, certain passes or whatever. I just don't know. We talked about the whole red zone theory. We talked about 3rd and 8 or whatever. Trying to convert. Sometimes teams will switch up or whatever. But we shall see. But people are starting to talk about it. That's basically what I'm saying. The conversation is starting to get more traction as to whether or not we will see both Juju and Caden in action in some way, shape, or form. Caden, I'm thinking primarily QB1, but Juju maybe take a couple of snaps here and there, so we shall see. So that, that's what we're working on. Let's see here, comments. No, because they will be a running team. Now that's true. You're right. We will be a running team this year. I think we are committed to the run. I think we have the running backs to do it. I know we lost Agostave, but I do think with Brandon Hood, Michael Welsh, we still got Charlie Offerdahl, and it seems like there's one other person. Is it just 3 now? Maybe it's just 3. We just got a new O-line commit. That was exciting. People were talking about that. So, we're going to have to get to know the O-line at some point when it's all after the portal closes. So once the portal's closed, then we can figure out who's who, because I kind of wanted to wait because you just kind of never know. So, that's where we are with that. Okay, so let's see. Gracie said, I heard that Tennessee quarterback Nico entered the transfer portal and Colorado is the top contender. All right, so I did a video on it. It just hadn't come out yet. The video's done. I'm just waiting on YouTube to load it. It's about a 2-hour. I'm like, why we got to wait 2 hours for video load? Let's see if I can share a little bit of it with y'all. I should be able to. I had a good conversation, I guess a good insight on that situation. Let's see if I can get a little bit of it to preview to y'all. And yes, Colorado is in the running. I don't see us getting another quarterback, but you never know. You never know. I'm gonna tell y'all one thing though. When I looked at Nico, I saw Juju. I'm like, he looked just like Juju a little bit. They favor a little bit. I know Juju has blonde hair, but they do favor, in my opinion. So here it is. This is what I'm looking for. All right, let's see. Okay, so the video is entitled "Is NIL Ruining College Sports?" That's the video. No, 1 second. That's the video. Can I upload this? I might not be. It might be too. I think it might be too long. Let's see. If it is, then y'all just gonna have to turn your notifications on because I'm going to release it after this podcast. I just wanted to share a snippet. Nope, it's too big. Okay. Anyway, turn your notifications on. I did a video about is NIL ruining sports, and it was centered around Nico Amalava's departure from Tennessee. It wasn't how the media made it out to be. I talked about knowing your worth and going about things a certain way and why it matters for the future, and how these players can protect themselves, when things change, because things are changing so rapidly. One of the things I talked about in the video was that when Dillon Gabriel left left Oklahoma, I think, whatever school he left, which I think was Oklahoma, to go to Oregon. Oregon offered him $1.9 million. Now, we know Dillon just now declared for the draft. He wasn't at Oregon that long. I don't even know if he was there 2 years max, maybe. So 2 years ago, he was offered $1.9 million. And I know it was 2 years ago because they had another quarterback. He was upset because he felt like I paid my dues, I waited in line, and now I should be QB, but Oregon went and got Dillon Gabriel. So I don't know what happened to the other guy. I probably need to go look and see. And that was dynamic because it showed you that the old way of paying your dues and being the next man up was out the window. That your school will go and get another school's QB and pay him $1.9 million to come play for you. And it benefited Oregon, right? I don't know how well it's going to benefit Dillon in the NFL, because right now he about in the 3rd or 4th round, which is not good. But it benefited Oregon. You see how that worked? So he did get on the Heisman stage, but that was 2 years ago in terms of when he got to Oregon. So 2 years later, Carson Beck is offered $4 million. And this is where Nico's not going to be the only quarterback. See, when Miami offered Carson Beck $4 million, they set a precedent. Duke came right behind Miami and won up Miami and gave their quarterback. Now, y'all know Duke is not anywhere near the Natty or anything like that. They're in the middle of the pack in their conference. But they paid their quarterback, Darian, they paid him $4 million each for 2 years. So he got $8 million. He's the highest paid college quarterback right now by a university. Caleb Williams had $10 million, but it wasn't all from USC. It was his endorsements. So outside of endorsements, Darian Mensah is being paid $8 million at $4 million each for 2 whole years. Do y'all know that's the exact contract that Jameis Winston has for the Giants? $8 million for 2 years at $4 million each. So essentially, what's the rush to go to the NFL? Maybe instead of leaving in my junior year, I just stay and get my master's. And hell, I'm going to just go ahead on and stay till I go to the NFL. They're talking about Anthony Richardson should have stayed in school. So if I'm in college and I play football and somebody offer me $6 million to stay, I'm staying. That was the risk that Quinn Ewers was taking, because he left UT this year to declare for the draft. See, I said Quinn Ewers should have left last year, but he stayed. Then he got hurt. Then they tried to see. To me, they were just dragging him because they was just ready for him to move out the way and they could get Arch Manning. That's really what they were trying to do. They were like, okay, trying to force Sarkisian's hand. And for Sarkisian had to come out and say, Quinn Ewers is QB1. And he stuck with it, which is why I thought his extension was a little short in years. But I didn't read it. But I think I glanced at it and I was like, did they give him a 1 or 2 year extension? Oh, they trying to tell him you should have played Arch Manning. So Quinn Ewers decided to declare for the draft. They predict he going in the 3rd round unless he going to Cleveland. He could be. I think they talked to him. And that's the only way he going to get in the 1st round, unless he go to Cleveland or to Washington, or the Titans just pull an okie doke, which would surprise me. But right now, he and Dylan Gabriel are 3rd and 4th round. And a school offered him $6 million to get in the portal. So for the people who thinking Nico just out here being a hothead, no. No. Yesterday's price is not today's price. And I get it. Tennessee did not want to pay Nico more than $2 million, but you cannot pay Nico $2 million, but you're going to pay somebody $4 million because that's the going rate. That's the whole point of it. Carson Beck, it's videos out there. I talked about it, that Nico in November was compared to Carson Beck, and it was like, Nico's a better quarterback than Carson Beck. This had nothing to do with NIL at the time. These were just 2 quarterback comparisons, in the fact that Carson Beck, who they thought was going to be the best QB coming out of his class, didn't have a good year. And that's how it goes. So Nico was like, hey, I put y'all on my back. And he did. He did. And they don't see his value. They're like, we don't see it. So he going to hop in the portal and we going to see who sees it. 9 schools. First school on the list, really and truly, is Bill Belichick and UNC. That's first school on the list. Colorado is like in the middle. People think Colorado don't need another QB. People have asked, is Caden going to leave because he already went to Tennessee? And now when he go back, I would not. Whoever they get is going to have to take $2 million, and they probably would never offer $4 million. But any QB out here right now who can read understands that these schools are making triple-digit millions. Carson Beck got $4 million. David Mensa got $4 million each. Well, if I'm going to stick around for 3 years, I want 12. I want 4 times 3. That's what you're going to have to do now. That's the precedents that have been set by universities, not by Nico. Technically, Nico is underpaid because he's in the top 10. Is Duke? No. Miami? No. But he only getting $2 million. That's why he wanted to renegotiate. And when he attempted to, it was failed. They said no, which means we either not paying any quarterback that kind of money, which means they have unrealistic expectations as a university, or we don't value you. And he's doing the right thing. When the portal opens, he leaves. But he should have went to practice and he should have went to class, because now his reputation is being trashed. And how long he stays in the portal will tell you everything you need to know. If they all ganged up and decide to let him sit, because they could. We talked about this. And collusion exists. We talked about how the media aids and abets these teams, be it in college or in the NFL. And if they don't like you, that's what they do. So if they feel, well, if we go ahead and let him hit the portal and get him out immediately, then other players are going to try to have the upper hand and the schools won't. And that's true. But in my opinion, this is business. This is business. If you knew that you wanted to renegotiate, and that's fair. Things have changed rapidly. There's a way to go about it. You're supposed to fulfill your responsibilities. Go to practice, play the spring game, and on Tuesday, 24 hours before that portal open, if they don't want to renegotiate, you write them a nice letter that says, thank you for the opportunity, and you're free to go chase the bag with your reputation intact. That's what these young men need to do. This is business. So turn your notifications on. The video will be out whenever YouTube decide to post it. It's already GTG, good to go. All right, let's see the comments here. We still have some questions. It will be Caden due to experience that he has the 5th year in college. Yeah, you can see Caden is good, ready to go. I think he has the leadership Coach Prime is looking for. He's a natural leader. He's a sponge, always sitting next to the OC. I mean, if you're gonna sit next to somebody, you might as well sit next to the man that's calling the plays, right? That's respect. That's respect. It said, I heard that Tennessee, yep, we are in the middle. So if there's 9 schools, we're like number 4. But nobody expects us to get a QB. But hey, I don't know how Coach Prime feel. You know, he might be like, because I don't know Nico's classification. I think he might be like a sophomore because last year he didn't play. See, Nico's one of those number 1 QBs in the country that was a 5-star recruit. So they started paying him when he was in high school. He got his contract in high school like Bryce Underwood. So Nico's experience is a lesson for Bryce Underwood in what to do and what not to do and how to protect yourself. And I talked about that in the video. So I think he might only be a sophomore because maybe he redshirt last year, freshman. So yeah, he probably a sophomore. So he still has another year before he leaves. And most people will be like, well, why would he buck the system? I'm like, because he sees that Carson Beck can get $4 million for 1 year. He sees that Darian can get $4 million for 1 year, for 2 years. And he can add. He knows that's how much Jameis Winston is getting in the NFL. Brock Purdy's contract is not even that much. That's second round money. Lamar Jackson's contract was $9 million for 4 years. Darian just got a contract signed for $8 million in college. So yeah, that's why Nico's like, I'm only getting 2. What we doing? Yesterday's price is not today's price. Prior to game 1, Caden will start and Juju will get play, in my opinion. I think he will too. You know, I'm gonna be honest with you, with this whole Nico situation, and Nico looking like Juju, it made me think, excuse me, because people have asked, do I think Juju would leave? In November, nobody thought Nico would ever leave Tennessee. I went back and read old comments. They loved him. Oh, they trashed him today because he out. But in November, they loved him. They said things like, you know, he's good to the school. He gives the school his all. Today, he's straight trash. So that's how fast things can change. And honestly, you know, I keep telling y'all, Juju's young. I mean, really young, like supposed to be in high school young. And I don't know if you're going to be able to keep him for 4 years when you got Darian out here making $8 million, Carson making 4 for 1. But see, these guys are a little older. So how do you keep somebody like Juju still? The lesson isn't give them $2 million a year because that's what happened with Nico. And yesterday's price is not today's price. That's why they need clauses that say after 2 years or whatever the hell the time period is, they want to renegotiate. And even though you have a clause that says you want to renegotiate, the school doesn't have to agree with you. So the question is, why, knowing that $4 million is the going price for an elite QB who could bounce and go somewhere else, with $8 million already signed for, why wouldn't Tennessee pay Nico if he put the team on his back? Because they made some money in that 1 year. They made $32 million more than usual. That's a lot of money. You could have gave him 4 because you're going to have to pay somebody. So either Tennessee's unrealistic or they don't value Nico. So how do we keep Juju, who's only 17 and should be in high school, for the term for him to go to the NFL, to his junior year? You're going to need some money. Especially if he pans out to be good. You're going to need, if he's not in trouble, if he's good, 4.0 student, star athlete, which is what he was in high school. If he pans that out to be in college, you're going to need some money. So this whole revenue sharing, to get the $22 million that the school could share. Imagine if the school is sharing all athletics, 14 programs, including the ski teams and the golf teams, are sharing $22 million, even with 80% going to the football team. Let's just say the football team gets 12 million. Okay, if I got to give you 4, that's gonna go real fast. So you got to figure it out. And Coach Prime was in the NFL. I'm thinking he's gonna come up with like an escalating contract, like they have in the NFL. You know, year 1 you get this amount. Year 2 you get most of the money on the back end. That seems to be how it works at NFL, from what I can recall from reading their contracts. But yeah, we're gonna have to do something. So I'm not 100% that he's gonna stay put for free. I don't believe that. Not with this. See what's going on with Nico. That's just going. These other guys have been thinking it. They have been thinking what he was thinking. He just one that executed it. The rest of them gonna do it too. They're gonna be like, I'm gonna need this money because he. And it's true. If Nico's better than Carson Beck, and Carson Beck gets 4 million, Darian gets 4 million times 2. Why wouldn't he get 4 million? Tennessee needs to answer that question. Because if you say you don't value that young man after he put y'all back in the conversation, then who do you value? Because if you only want to pay $2 million for a QB, you're going to end up with a mediocre QB. If Bryce Underwood has a $10 million contract and he's still in high school, what does that tell you? You're going to have to pay to play. So $20. $20. What's that, Jackie? Oh, 520. You talking about Shadour's yards. Hayden is the running back. Oh, I forgot about him. Number 7. He looked like he's doing much better this year. One of the things that the running back coach, Marshall Faulk, talked about, he noticed some hesitation from our running backs. I noticed it too. He wants them to burst through like an Ashton Jitty or a Taj Brooks. And we didn't really have that. We saw Micah do it, but he still had a little hesitancy too. When it came to when he in the middle, he didn't mind wiggling his way through. But when he got in the open field, it's like he just went from left to right. He just couldn't get forward traction all the time. And that's what he's looking for. And I can't wait to see it. I don't know who it's going to be. It could be Brandon Hood. So we have to make sure we're not sleeping on Brandon Hood. But honestly, I have to go watch the running backs practice. I think I've seen Micah. Gustave is gone. So yeah, I got to go back and watch some video now since, we lost somebody to see if the tutoring from, Marshall Faulk is starting to be impactful in practice. I guess that's what the spring game is for. I heard Saints need a QB. Oh yeah, the Saints need a QB because I posted it yesterday. Derek Carr is injured and they believe he might be out for the year like Deshaun Watson. So it's just Cleveland copy and paste, same situation. So Cleveland needs a QB and now New Orleans. Shedeur is the lock for New Orleans if you ask anybody. That's where he should go. And Jackie told us that people in New Orleans on the ground can hear that there's pressure for the Saints to pick Shedeur. But I also talked about how, well, if you ask the media, there was pressure for the Steelers to pick Shedeur. And the media wants Shedeur to go anywhere he cannot start. We want him to start, and that's where the Saints come in at. So let's fingers crossed. I will be wearing black and gold. See you and the Saints. So if you see me wearing New Orleans hats, black t-shirts that say New Orleans or anything else that say New Orleans, because I have a lot of stuff. I have a road trip t-shirt that say New Orleans. I got the Dr. Seuss t-shirt that say Princess New Orleans that they sell in the French Quarter. So I'm going to be wearing all of it because, honestly, I need this to happen. I need Shedeur to go to the Saints because it makes too much sense and it's just going to do wonders. And the competition, I think, in the NFC South is just, that's who we're going to be watching, So, does Colorado have enough money for him? They should after the revenue sharing. Yeah, they should after the revenue sharing. $22 million with the majority of it going to the football team. They don't have enough money for him. I don't know about everybody else. That's why the $4 million is dangerous. And Miami, Miami did it. I don't know why they gave Carson Beck $4 million. I didn't see him do anything to get $4 million. And they say he's still hurt. I'm like, and I asked, we were talking about it at home. I said, hold on. They gave Carson Beck $4 million and he injured. I said, has he ever even worn a Miami uniform? It's about nope. And then Duke in the middle, they did it. So how do you tell somebody at a top 10 school, I'm sorry, I can't give you $4 million? Is Miami in the top 10? Is Duke getting old? But they paying the money. So you got to go get your boosters to come up with some money. That's what you're going to have to do. You have revenue sharing and you still have NIL. So somebody out there need to go find a car dealership so these guys can get compensated because that's the precedent that has been set by at least 2 universities that are not in the top 10. And maybe the rich schools are doing it to kind of like poach the talent from the other schools who in the top 10 who just maybe don't have long pockets like that. I don't know why Tennessee wouldn't have it. They made $242 million just in the athletics department. And you know the majority of that was what? Football. I doubt he wants to play for Tennessee because of the NIL deal and that against Coach Prime's policy. I doubt because he wants to play for. Oh, you talking about? I don't know how much that's against Coach Prime policy. Coach Prime believes in NIL. It's just that, and I don't know how much longer he's gonna be able to keep that up. If you want to come to see you for NIL, then that's the conversation he's not willing to have. I don't know. Things are changing. Things are changing now. With revenue sharing, everybody can get paid, but everybody's not getting paid $4 million. And during the Natty, I'm pretty sure we talked about it on this podcast, the breakdown of Ohio State's and their $20 million roster. So remember, when Nick Saban was on his way out, he was talking about Ryan Day's roster. And he said $20 million, is one thing, but who are you paying? In other words, he didn't think he had players worth that kind of money. But they just won the Natty. And Ryan Day just got a contract extension, making him one of the highest paid coaches at 12 or 13 million, up there with Kirby Smart. So the $20 million roster paid off. And honestly, if you have a $4 million QB, you're going to have a $20 million roster, because what you going to tell you're going to tell the wideouts? What you going to tell the corners? What you going to tell the offensive line? And when I looked at Ohio State, they divvy up their roster from what I could find out. Their hierarchy went, they paid the quarterback, they paid the offensive lineman, so $2 million for the quarterback, $1 million for the offensive lineman, and maybe 1.5, and then a little bit less than that for the wideouts. I was like, I get you need to protect your quarterback, but they got to have somebody to throw to. So you're going to need to pay your receivers. So what it seems like they did, they paid their receivers less than they paid the offensive line, but then they got them NIL deals. So Will Howard was possibly getting $2 million, because that's the structure that I saw. The linemen were getting the $1 million, and then the wideouts were like $500,000 plus NIL. So that's what they're gonna have to do with Juju. They're gonna have to do something, because let's just say, and I'm not going to say anything about Caden getting hurt. Caden only has 1 year. Okay, that means if Caden starts and blows it out the water, bring Natty back to see you. Juju gets in there. He starts playing, and it looked like he could get the Heisman. You're going to have to pay him. I'm sorry. You're going to have to pay him. And Travis was the one that pointed out after Carson Beck got $4 million. Well, hell, I won the Heisman. I didn't get that kind of money. And he didn't, because what is Colorado's motto? You don't come for the money. You come to win. But I don't know how long that's going to work. I'm just going to be honest with you. This whole Nico situation is blowing things up, and he's not the only one to think what he has been thinking, that, hey, I need to up my price out here. I'm better than these two. And he is. And he is. So we're going to see how it works out. But I'm going to tell you right now, if he hop in the portal in a year or two, I'm kind of not going to be surprised. I'm just not. So we're going to see. Me too. I would stay in college and get my master's. Yeah, Jalen Hurts went back and got his master's, and he in the NFL making $250 million, $253 to be exact. So yeah, honestly, basketball. There's a basketball player. I didn't get his name. I'd already heard on the women's side that, like, a popular player, Olivia somebody, she played for Notre Dame. She left there, hopped in the portal. She decided not to go back to school. She going to another school. Today, I heard the entire freshman roster for UCLA bounced because they got paid money to go other places. I think some players left one school, and South Carolina got some more players. And the people they thought were going to the WNBA said, nope, I'm staying in school, because they don't think it's worth it. Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark only made $75,000 each. Now, we know Caitlin Clark has Nike, but everybody's not going to get that. Everybody's not going to get those types of deals. So if you playing at USC with Juju and Juju's out, I mean, if you could leave this year or stay, shit, I'm staying. I'm staying so I can get me, while Juju, is getting better. Get well soon, Juju. I'm staying so I can get them NIL deals because that's where the money is. That's why Angel Reese makes so much money. It's not her $75,000 salary with the WNBA. And now it's happening with the NBA. See, people understood with the WNBA because why? They used to go overseas to try to make the money because they're used to the WNBA not paying like that. They can't ball out like the NBA. Well, this year, one of the players, I don't know if it was Florida, U of H, this young man got offered $4 million to stay in college. $4 million seems to be the going rate. Whether it's the basketball or football, he's staying. He's not even going to the NBA draft. They said if he went to the draft, he wouldn't even been like a lottery pick. He wasn't going to be like the top 50. So y'all know Bronny was like 55. So he was going to be like in the 100 or something. So he's staying in school and he's getting paid. I think they make $1 million per year. I think it was something like that in the NBA when they do their minimum salary or something like that. It's $1 million. He getting $4 million a year to go back so they can try to get back to the national championship. Not saying they're going to get there. So he's staying in school. This is the first time anybody's bucked the NBA to stay in college for money. Remember, Caleb's dad didn't want him to leave USC. He wanted him to stay 1 year because he didn't want him going to a sorry team. And what happened? He went to a sorry team, got sacked 65 times, and now they trying to fix Caleb. Caleb's dad was right. But they was going to blackball Caleb if he had stayed in college. Maybe had his dad not said it out loud, Caleb could have been like, I'm staying in school. But once his dad put it out there as to why he wanted his son to stay in school, they came for him. And you see how he got treated his first year. So they talking about doing the same thing this Shedeur. But we gonna see. We gonna see. Because the Scooby-Doo gang, we own it. We own it. So let's see. Then it says, so yeah, I'm staying in college. And I already said it in my video. I said, hell, right now the going rate is $4 million. I said, they done got to $4 million for 2 years. I said, it's about somebody about to get $4 million for 3. Could be Juju. I don't know. But somebody, if Bryce Underwood already has $10 million for a few years, and I'm sure it's probably 4, max 3 could be, somebody's about to get $4 million for 3 years to stay at a university for 3 years. And if Nico had an NIL deal from Tennessee and he could get up and leave, I mean, it don't sound like a regular legal contract where you could get sued if you don't show up. And it sounds like there's no binding clause that says, if we pay you this money, you're going to have to stay here. I've never read an NIL contract. I clearly need to go read one because it seemed kind of loose. It seemed kind of loose. So I'm thinking as we get to $12 million, somebody going to want a buyout clause or somebody going to want a no trade clause because this is really mimicking the NFL. So you might as well just put those protections, the legalities in place. Just go ahead on and do the same thing. You know, maybe you have a no trade clause. You can't send me nowhere else. Or, you know, maybe you can't bench me. I don't know. But I understand if there's a fight to keep sports amateur on the amateur level. This is not amateur at all. $8 million to stay at Duke for 2 years, and they have not won anything. Oh my shit. I need to go back to school and figure something out because now I play some tennis or some volleyball or something that's life-changing money. And when we heard about it with Carson Beck, everybody was like, oh, what? $4 million for 1 year? And he wasn't even good last year. You see? So of course Nico like, hi, I brought y'all to number 9. I was actually good. I want my money. So you know, this is going to be interesting to follow, and I will be following it because I love the conversation of business, but this is some interesting business that's happening when it comes to these NIL deals for these QBs for sure. It says, yes, Nico is better than Carson because Carson proved to be inconsistent and still got $4 million. Yes, thank you, Gracie. It said the schools bet. What does that say? D. Johnson, the schools bet. All I know is the school's raking in dough. $242 million is how much they made at Tennessee off of athletics. Now, y'all know that wasn't like everybody. Y'all know that, right? Y'all know it's football. Ohio State was vying for Nico as well. Oh, really? I wonder if he should have went there. He might have should have went there. I don't know what made him choose Tennessee. But again, see, the psychology of it is they go into these 18-year-olds that I'm just now talking about who don't have that consequential type thinking, and they're putting $10 million. But what they're not thinking about is, okay, it's $10 million. For how long? It's like when you go buy a car and they give you a loan for 106 months and you like, oh, I'm paying $200 a month. Yeah, but for how long? And at what interest rate, right? So it's that kind of thinking, that inexperience at 18 that you don't have. You need mom and dad, who's probably trying to keep you calm. You need a lawyer to go, okay, so can we renegotiate? And that's what Nico seemingly didn't have, unless he had it and they just didn't care. And they don't have to. And I think he got his feelings hurt. I think, he sees himself as him, but they're like, we're not paying you as him because, for whatever reason. I kind of think that Tennessee is like unrealistic expectations. Like, we're not paying no quarterback no $4 million. I'm like, y'all better go do your homework. Y'all better go do your homework. Because I thought Carson Beck was the highest one. When I read about Darian Mintz, I was like, what? That's crazy. And Duke is not even a contender. So it said the schools make a lot of money off of advertising dollars. The schools get billions so they can pay the players. Yeah, now here's the thing. I think I put it in the video. The year before, when Nico played his first full season, they made $202 million. After Nico's first full season, their fiscal year, they made $234 million. That's $32 million uptick. They set a record, and they still would give him $4 million. And they know Carson Beck is out there. They know what Duke is doing. They know what's going on at Ohio, and they still wouldn't pay him. That's the perplexing part. So y'all want a mediocre quarterback, or you don't value him? And I think that's he took it personal and was like, screw it. I'm not going to practice, and I'm not going to the spring game. See, I would have done that. See, you got to be nice with it. You got to, what my mama used to say, something about flies and honey. I don't know. You can catch a fly with honey faster. So yeah, you want to go to another school, right? Go to practice, and you go ball out in that spring game because that's your audition tape. These people haven't seen you play since December. Let them see you so that when you hop in the portal, everybody's trying to call you at the same time and only one of them get through. That's what he should have done. But now he's dealing with a reputational issue, with the school coming out and saying, we moved on from Nico. No, Nico moved on from Tennessee. But that didn't get put out there. Y'all know how the media does. You know how the media. Mind you, nobody's talking about Arch Manning. His valuation for NIL this year is $6.5 million. Shedeur was $6 million. Travis, by the time after he signed with Adidas, he was $6 million. So $6 million not going to be far off. $4 million is for the quarterbacks that's getting ready to go. We talking about people like Juju. By the time they get there, it's going to be $6 million. I don't know what a cap is, but as much money as they make, triple digit millions, and I'm not talking about 100 million. I'm talking about $242 million, and they set a record. Shame on Tennessee, unless they just didn't value Nico, and I think that's why he took it personally. But you got to do the right thing, even when the wrong thing is happening. If you understand that you have a contract, then you need to understand that you are conducting business. And when you conduct business, you don't take anything personal. It's all business, and that's what he needs to learn. And everybody else that's watching needs to learn from his scenario. This is business. Fulfill your obligations. When the portal open, hit the door. Go with your reputation. Make sure your reputation is intact when you leave. They ain't got to like you, but you can't be out here on the media with everybody trashing you. You don't want that, because you can't fix that. You're going to have, that's like swimming upstream. You don't want to do that. Fulfill your obligations. Send a letter saying thank you for the opportunity, and go chase that bag. Make people want you, and not make people gang up on you and say that you're difficult. That's what you don't want. And that's the situation he's put himself in. And shame on the people around him for letting him do that. If we said that Nico didn't have professional representation and his father was acting in that capacity, the schools can try and finesse that if he's not careful. Yeah. They said he had representation. That's what I heard. The report goes, Nico went to his OC His representation reached out to the school. I think Nico gave the OC a heads up. I don't know why he didn't go to the head coach. Maybe that's where the representation coming at. And Tennessee wasn't having it. I don't know why Tennessee wasn't having it, but this could be a mistake on Tennessee's part, and it makes them look naive if they don't understand that $4 million is the going rate for somebody that's not even a contender. I wonder how much Miami paid Cam Ward, because they open up their checkbook for Carson Beck, who did not have a good year. So much so that he stayed behind, and he trying to get in next year's draft with Caden and Arch Manning. So he better have a good year, but hell, he injured and still got $4 million. So either Tennessee is naive, or they being prideful, or they don't value Nico personally for his services. And he should go to the portal, but he should have fulfilled his obligations and said thank you and left. The school in the chill, probably disrespectful. Oh, I'm pretty sure they were disrespectful to Nico. I would imagine, I'm thinking after he said he wanted to leave, they was rude to him. Now, I'm sure they was rude to him, because that's how people get when they feel like they should be controlling you and you shouldn't be controlling them. So, I think he should have went to practice. I think he should have played the spring game, fulfill your obligations. Look at Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is a prime example of you do the right thing when the wrong thing is happening. Now, y'all know he could have knocked the hell out of Sean Payton. Y'all know that. Y'all know that. He was on his way out. He could have been like, I'm retired, screw it, and knocked the hell out of him. We know that, right? There was a player for the Texans that did it. Not saying it's right, but sometimes people try you, and you have to be a child of God to do the right thing when the wrong thing is happening. But see, Nico's young. He falls into that 18 to 25 age. But that's why I say the people around him should have had more foresight and told him, okay, it's cool. The portal opened up on Wednesday, but use this practice to fulfill your obligations and use this spring game to your advantage. And sometimes these people don't have good people around them. And I'm talking about representation. That's why representation matters, because who were they looking out for when they allowed you to go out there and now your reputation is intact? And people say the reason why he didn't go was because he already knew what other school wanted him to stay. To move on. And that's what happened with who was it that they said? Oh, Quinn Ewers. Another school reached out to him and told him to hop in the portal and we got $6 million for you. Because that's how you have to do it. You can't just walk up to the person and say, hey, can you hop in the portal? You have to go through representation. And representation just kind of has to hear, well, if you hop in the portal, it seems there's about 3 schools that might want it. That's how it has to go. That's why the representation is important. Because otherwise it's pay for play. So the schools want to make all the money. Yeah, the schools want to make all the money. And there were people talking about the NCAA should do this. I'm like, y'all really expect the NCAA to do anything about this? Because they don't even want the players to get paid at all. So they want the players to be employees. They want them to stay amateur, and they want them to be employees, and they want their NIL deals to go through a professional services firm and have their deals cleared by a third party. What the hell is that? So they're in court fighting the students to get paid, and if they get paid, they're making their life hell. I don't know why anybody who used to play sports would think that the NCAA is going to do right by the sport of football. I saw the committee. I didn't see anybody that looks like the majority of football players. Not one black man. And that's a travesty, because we know what's making the money. There should be a couple of black men on that committee. Some football players. There's supposed to be students on that too, or former students. I don't see no football players. And that's how you know the NCAA ain't right. They're protecting their own self. They're supposed to be there to protect the students. In my opinion, the students need to put together their own governing body and find a legal way to dismiss the NCAA, because they clearly don't have students' best interest at heart. So I don't know why anybody who plays professional football thinks that the NCAA caused this problem and should fix it. Of course they caused it, because they don't want the students to get paid. So we're going to see what happens with Tennessee. We're going to see who they end up with a quarterback. We're going to find out how much they get paid, and we're going to see how long Nico stays in the portal. Now, it's possible Nico might be like Caden. Caden said when he hopped in the portal, his phone was jumping. Syracuse was another school on that list. So was USC, UNC, UCLA, Maryland, you just keep naming it. So all the big schools, who pretty much need quarterbacks. When they said UNC, Bill Belichick needs a quarterback, even Oregon was on the list. They talked about Syracuse having to replace Kyle McCord, who was in the draft, who they don't really talk about. And Colorado and Syracuse was in the same bucket, that middle tier. So I told y'all, Syracuse and Colorado kind of vie for the same players. So we shall see. And what happens if he languishes? They ganging up on him because we know he's good. That's them ganging up on him. So kind of like they're doing Shedeur, so that he doesn't get what he wants. That's why, you just kind of want to watch how you move around these folks. All right. So that's where we are. All right. So we got a few questions left. We are already an hour in. We're already an hour in. So let's wrap up these questions. It's Mondays tomorrow. I know everybody got stuff to do. So let's see. Okay. I got my 3 questions. Okay. Here's one right here. It says, oh, y'all ought to know this one. In 2023, CU lost 8 games. EIGHT. But what did Coach Prime keep? Does anybody know the answer to that question? In 2023, CU lost 8 games. But what did Coach Prime keep? I'll put the music on so we can do our little timer. Checking to see if anybody know the answer. All right, let's see. Gracie, I reread your question. I saw where you were saying that they said Nico didn't have representation, that his dad was basically representing him. I hope his dad was a lawyer, because here's what could happen. They could gang up on him. He could sit in the portal for a minute. Not that another school doesn't want to get him, but they can use the headlines to say, oh, well, it seemed like you might be a little difficult to work with, so we can't give you $4 million. But if you made 2.5 at Tennessee and you only got a year left for college, and I know you want to play ball, we can give you 2.5 so you can go back to school and get your education. That's exactly what they could do. In other words, you left for nothing. That's called making your life hell. That's why you got to be careful how you moving with these situations, because people don't want you to win anyway. See, you got to understand that. If you know that they don't want you to win in the first place, they fight and paying you in the first place. If you see Carson Beck, who you're better than, getting $4 million, if you see Darian at Duke getting $4 million for 2 years, and you know that you have at least 2 years left, let's just say that. So you want $8 million, but you already had a contract. So you got to talk about, well, what can you do for Tennessee that will make them want to pay you $8 million? See, they don't have to do it. And that's what he learned. And some people were thinking, oh, Tennessee's right for standing firm against these players, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, not necessarily, because they're going to pay somebody $4 million. The only person they're not going to have to pay $4 million is because nobody else would pay them $4 million. So they're going to get somebody that's mediocre. Unless they already wealthy and they're like, I just want to be quarterback and nobody else will let me be quarterback, but my parents got money, so I don't need money. What did that young guy say at CSU? He was offered $600,000 to hop in the portal and go to another school. He said, I'm not here for the money. That's who they're going to have to get. And what happened after that? Okay. So that's how it goes. All right. So the question was, in 2023, CU lost 8 games, but what did Coach Prime keep? The answer is Coach Prime keeps receipts. I thought y'all was going to get it. So Coach Prime keeps receipts. That's what Coach Prime keeps, receipts. All right. Let's see. So that was probably our fourth one. Let's see if we have another one. I think we might have got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think we got all of our questions. I think that was all of our questions. Okay, so that was the last one. What did Coach? We lost 8 games in 2023, but what did Coach Prime keep? Coach Prime keeps receipts. All right, y'all. So it's getting late, so we're gonna get out of here. Turn your notifications on so you can get the video when it drops. The title is NIL ruining college sports? The answer is no, not. Stay tuned for another great video. I will see y'all tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, going back to my busy schedule hour. So I'll see y'all tomorrow night. Thank y'all for hanging out with me. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel and hit the like button on the way out if you have not already. Don't be stingy with the like button. Thank you so much. I'll see y'all tomorrow night. Have a good night, everybody. Thank y'all for hanging out with me.